G'day, I'm AZZA from Frankenbok. You know me,
And I'm Adam from Frankenbok,
and I know him.
and I know him.
Well, I think I know both. I know both of you. I haven't met one of you, but I know both of you, so we're off to a good start.
You're in for a treat.
Oh shit! So we're here today for a couple of reasons, but for those unaware, Frankenbok underwent another vocalist change in 2024. But instead of trying to blood fresh meat, you decided to hand the microphone back to your original vocalist, Hutchy. So didn't anyone ever tell you, Azza, that you never take your wife back after she's cheated on you?
Yeah, they did, but I don't listen to anybody on what they call an asshole. I kind of ask everybody for advice, and I take none of it.
Not that anyone would have told you not to get Hutchy back, though, of course.
Well, it's a big secret, but a few people said that we should.
We both have really self-esteems and don't think we can do any better. So it's almost a full circle thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, I've been keeping this one in my back pocket for a while, but I remember about 2.5 years ago, I was sitting in that very same spot where you are now. You were playing me the original Frankenbok demos with Hutchy. I was blown away, and I just said to you, "Why the fuck did you get rid of this cunt?" And you didn't really have an answer for me, but you did say that you hope one day you'll end up working together again, and voila.
Well, at the time, he didn't have a big enough beard, and since then he's sort of extended. So I thought it's time to extend the hand of friendship.
And that sort of started with the 25th anniversary Frankenbok last year, didn't it? That's where it all sort of kicked back into gear again.
Yeah, very much so. There was lots of talk about the 25th anniversary beforehand, and I was always like, yeah, I don't know if that can actually sort of happen, because like me and Hutchy just weren't talking. We hadn't talked for almost 20 years or something like that. I think we'd said, hey, tell Hutchy I said, fuck you. And I think he said, tell AZZA I said, fuck you back. There's a bit of that sort of correspondence. But we played a gig at the Cherry Bar, and somebody said, Hutchy's here. And I went, yeah, righto. And I'd been seeing Hutch's artwork. So I just went, as I was loading gear in and out, I said, okay, we grabbed the next load and so walked past and went, there you go, man. Love your artwork. Let's have a go at being mates again or something like that.
It was a really cathartic kind of moment for me personally as well, because I turned up to Cherry Bar and I was like, oh, Frankenbok's playing. So, I'm just not in the mood for any bullshit. And yeah, Aaron just walked straight up to me, looked me dead in the eye, extended his hand and just, said some really nice words and just diffused the situation. And for me personally, it just felt like a whole weight had lifted off my shoulders. I was like, oh, thank God. It was really great. I mean, I made my peace many years ago, but we just obviously hadn't spoken for a while. But it was good, and it sort of started that sort of next step for the things that came to follow. And it's just, I don't know if I really believe in destiny, like not to quote, Neo from the Matrix, but I like to think I'm in control of my own life. But actually, a lot of things that have been happening has been scarily sort of almost like destiny, like the God of Thunder or something. This is all sort of meant to be. It's very, very strange.
I would just like to say, be very careful who you extend your hand to. This is what happens to it.
Yeah, you got to take better care of yourself, mate. We all know that.
I know. Oh,
You won't learn, but I actually heard that you didn't really have much of a choice in getting Hutchy. When he got on stage for the 25th anniversary, he refused to give the microphone to anyone. He just took it.
Is it my turn to talk? I don't know. It was really strange coming back. I mean, I never in my wildest imagination thought that we would be friends again, let alone get back on the stage with Frankenbok. And it was quite strange and daunting for me, because I hadn't been on stage for probably 12, 13 years since my last band had sort of split up. And I was quite nervous. I love my food and I couldn't eat, and I didn't have one sip of alcohol that night as well. And kind of went out, and then it's sort of like muscle memory. It just sort of all comes back to you naturally. But it was really great, and the show was awesome. It was one of the best gigs I'd ever been to in my entire life in a local sense, and I was just so stoked and proud to have been a part of it. Like Aaron and Dan did an amazing job organising everything, and all the lineups were killer. It was a really good turnout, and it was great. Really good night.
Cool. So once back together, guys, you wasted a little time getting your first single out by releasing Demon Tantrum in late October. I remember it was a ferocious return to form, that song, but why did you pick that one specifically to introduce the new lineup of Frankenbok, I guess?
Well, we didn't really sort of, it wasn't a choice of several. That was ready. That was done. That was almost like supposed to be possibly even demos. It was just something that we were working with. And at the stage that it was in, there was lots of us that were listening to it going, why don't we just release that? It's good enough. And sort of, it wasn't kind of built for release, but then I don't know if I was convinced, but, you know, after it was playing it, the guys were sort of playing it to me a lot and going, what's wrong with it? And I went, you know what, you're right. There's nothing wrong with it. So we kind of did a bit of a road test and just said it to people and thought, what do you think? And all the, everything came back good from it. As far as, you know, everyone liked it, everyone was happy with the quality of it, et cetera, et cetera. We just went, well, why are we sitting on this? And one of my greatest fears these days is I hate when great art or great ideas that have been worked in and, you know, slaved over and put time into sometimes end up becoming nothing. It wasn't quite right, or it wasn't perfect, or, you know, and then it ends up being just a dead file on a hard drive that nobody ever hears. And we're like, the attitude that we've got now is kind of like, let's just float everything. Let's give life to everything that we've got, rather than, you know, waiting until it's ready and it never being ready and it just dying, you know.
It's also something of something that could have potentially been in like an alternate universe, I guess, for Frankenbok. After the 25th anniversary show, Dan was interested in doing a release with him and me doing dual vocals on it. And we did a couple of gigs together, sort of doing that as well. And that was sort of the first song we'd worked on. And it's not that it was the best or the worst song or anything. It was just something we'd done. It was, I guess, something complete. And I'd felt personally we'd captured something there. And I was proud of it. I thought it came out really, really cool. It was just its own beast. And so I guess whilst we were sort of working in the background to get other things ready, like working on the EP and the other singles and stuff, I just thought this would be a great introduction back to me coming back to the band and stuff, and just seeing what people think, you know, just to buy us some time, I guess, as well too.
Refreshing and brutal as that song was, you threw a complete curveball with the second single, which was a cover of Right Round by Dead or Alive. Like, how was the response to that? Like, no Frankenbok, that's emphatic proof that you've gone back in time to go forward musically. But how did people react to it?
Good, I think. Depends on like who you're talking about, you know. Most people that are open and just, you know, want to have a laugh, so to speak, or not too serious. I think that was the whole thing, and it's, you know, a whole new thing. It was sort of getting back to what Frankenbok was originally. Like, you know, there's elements of very heavy and we're sort of serious about the music, but then there's also not so much comedy, but just have a good time. And the way it even come about was not anything strategically planned. I think I was laying on the couch talking to Hutchy on the phone, and I had the wedding singer was on in the background, and I heard that song, and I just said to him, "Oh, geez, I've always wanted to cover that song. I reckon it'll make a great cover." And Hutchy just encouraged me. He said, "Well, why don't we work it out? Why don't we just do that?" And I went, oh, "Wait a minute, this has changed. You know, like it's back to like we can do anything we want." And so I kind of worked it out as best I could, sent it to him, and almost overnight he sent back the version with vocals done, and we were kind of like, wow, that's sort of happened out of a sort of, you know, just a conversation. And it was enjoyable and fun.
Pretty much what he said, but I thought it was kind of funny too, in a sense of sort of fucking with people, because Frankenbok has been quite this serious, staunch sort of metal band. It was kind of cool to bring some of the fun back and some of the versatility, I guess, back from sort of my era as well. And one thing that sort of Aaron and I were sort of discussing in the background, but before me rejoining, was just a lot of ideas seem to be getting blocked by certain members over the years. Like certain people just weren't down to doing certain things. And whereas I am open to anything. Like at the end of the day, my whole philosophy's changed. So I'm just like, well, if someone's got an idea, let's just see what happens. Let's just put it out there and execute it. And if it doesn't work, we don't have to put it out. But, you know, I think it's just a great way for everyone when you're collaborating with, you know, 4 people or X amount of people to get everyone's ideas out there. Because, I mean, what's the point of it if one person is just steering the ship all the time? Like it's a collaboration. You can't have this without the other 3 guys. So, yeah, and just where my headspace is at now, it's just like, let's just try whatever. And, you know, the not to get off track, but the film clip that we just done that's coming out on Australia Day, that wasn't my idea, but I went with it, and we all did, and we all put into it, and the results come out something beyond my expectations and something I never would have thought of. So it's really opened my mind up even more so to just, you know, respecting people where they're coming from, and just having a go at everything. I mean, why not? It's, you know, it's
entertaining each other's idea rather than shooting it down before you've heard it out.
Yeah.
And even with that particular song, as I said, it wasn't strategic by any means, but then with Hutchy coming back in, it was very reminiscent of Don't Call Me Baby in a way, you know, a silly cover, our silly take on it. And I went, you know what, this is a good way to sort of say the dickheads are back, you know. You know, it's not as there's enough serious bands out there doing, you know, what they do and all that, and I've got nothing against that, but it's actually probably not really, well, you know me, I'm not exactly a super serious person.
No, not in the slightest. Tell Hutchy the story about our Ladybeard in Japan with Don't Call Me Baby.
Oh yeah, yes. When we were in Japan,
we met up with him for the day, and he said, "What songs do you want me to play?" And you've given him a list of about 6 or 7. And when we turned up that night, the first thing, "Don't Call Me Baby" wasn't on there, by the way, and like the band hadn't done it for years. And he's jumped up on stage with the mic, and he's just gone, "Bloody hell, we're doing Don't Call Me Baby." Everyone just looked at each other, and that wasn't on the fucking list.
No, he was in Triumph, and he just said, "Now we're going to do an a cappella version of Don't Call Me Baby." And I'm like, "Fucking are we?" And he's a pretty big guy, and he just started doing it, and Dan White joined in, and then I think Tommy joined in. And by the end of it, I think we ended up doing like the whole song.
He did.
And then we broke into Triumph on other songs, and that's when he throttled me across the stage.
Good times. And now, along those lines, what we were talking about before, with like Frankenbok's had a few different vocalists over the years. It's fair to say that with every incoming vocalist, the band's sound has changed a little bit, like musically to vocals. But now Hutchy's back, you've gone more back to the original sound. But was that something you discussed? Did you sit down and say we want to go back to that sound again, or did it just come out?
No, like that started straight after we wrote Overdose, or even sort of during Overdose. Me and Tommy had talked a lot about the kind of music we wanted to write, and we were, when, you know, certain members left and, you know, the band got smaller, we were trying to play a lot of the old songs, which are too guitar orientated, and it sort of almost felt like we were kind of like a Frankenbok cover band. And like with Overdose, we went, you know what, I'm going to sit down and write songs that like represent the band that we are now. And we kind of did that in Overdose and enjoyed that direction. But then I guess me and Tommy talked a lot about like the groove in the songs and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you know, there's the heavy stuff, but we kind of wanted to focus on writing songs that make people want to move all the time. And if that's sort of like a salsa feel, or, you know, just whatever, so we want to make sure that it makes people, even involuntarily, tap their foot or bob their head. And very inspired by a band Snot. Just a couple of other bands with, like, you know, the big riffs and you know, keeping that groove happening to sort of moshing's great and all, but we kind of wanted to make people dance.
Demon Tantrum and You Spin Me Right Round were appetizers for the main course, really, which will be served on January 31st with the release of the first EP with this lineup titled Irrepressible. Like, that's a big word, as it's fuck to say. Why call the album Irrepressible?
We're both Magic fans, and just basically getting back to knowing Aaron and stuff, and just all the conversations. You know, I'm obviously morbidly curious about what the band's been and done over the years, and the band has survived a lot. Like, just getting back to each album, the way it sounds, to me, it's all like a different season of Doctor Who. There's just I personally don't think no two Frankenbok albums have been the same, even the two that I were on. And the band has been so much, there's just nothing that can kill this band, especially with this guy still in it.
Tell me about
it. Yeah. So, yeah, we just thought, I don't know, I think we had a bunch of titles, and I think one night we were on the phone, and I think Aaron had been on loudspeaker with his wife, and then one of the names I had was Irrepressible, and they go, "Yep, that's the one."
She was with me, by the way. She wasn't with him.
Yeah.
I think also to add to that is when me and Hutch started talking again, we went straight back to our stupid shit with, we're talking about monkey magic, and we've both got a love for like things back in the 80s of, we're always like quoting monkey magic, and we're, just lots of the old pop culture and all that, like, always on about toys and, bloody the A-Team and just, 80s movies and stuff like that have sort of never died with us.
Before we let you go, I'm not going to let you get away without doing our regular photobomb section. So basically, I've been scrolling through your social media trying to find some good photos, and you guys are a fucking easy target. So I had to
taken a long time to find a good one.
Now, I know I haven't actually had the pleasure of meeting you in flesh yet, Hutchy, but I already know that you can't jump this high, mate. Like, how photoshopped is that getting that far off the ground?
I jump that high.
You fucking cannot.
I think there was a hot dog or something up there, but yeah, I jumped for it.
Tommy can't jump.
White man can jump.
He's not actually white there, is he?
You put a rocket under their ass?
That's
not Photoshop at all.
That's us jumping, yeah.
That's totally legit. Oh, what a feeling. Ebola.
That's actually the cover of Irrepressible, isn't it?
It was in that photo shoot was, from that same thing. And I was the one that couldn't jump. Everybody like, jump in the air, jump in the air. If you zoom in or have a look at some of the other photos there, my hand kind of looks like a knee. That's what I'd broken my hand just before then. And they're like, jump in the air. And I'm like, fuck, mate, I got a hand like a packet of chips here.
And just those photos were taken by a really good friend of mine, Jay Collier, is an amazing photographer. So look him up, hit him up. He does really, really good work.
Yeah, it's the same before that Owen, the bass player, is a bit of a gun at everything he does. That even includes nipple cramps.
Well, you tell me that he's not good at that.
I'm not saying he's not good at it, but
the film clip we decided to celebrate, but we couldn't afford any strippers, so Owen stepped up.
Good on him. I was actually going to say that maybe he's getting a bit upset that all the focus has been on Hutchy as a new guy lately, and no one is paying him any attention, but he's doing his best to get it.
Between me and Owen, there's no competition. He's all hunk and I'm all Hutch.
Yeah, Owen's got a genre that he wants to sort of create, or which he's sort of creating himself, and there's grind metal and there's post this and post that, and he wants to start this whole hunk metal, basically like Chippendales playing metal. And, he's putting himself forward and he's doing a good job.
The best thing of the new film clip is his arm.
Yes. Hetero arm.
Oh, you going to tell us what it is, or we have to go and watch it to see?
No, it's just so muscular and fucking beautiful. It's the kind of, if it grabs it's the kind of arm that if they grab a hold of you, you kind of don't want to get out of.
Rightio. Well, what would a photobomb be without a photo of our good friend AZZA as well? What the fuck?
That was when I was giving birth to my 15th child. And I called him Beelzebub. No, that was we did the video, we did the photo shoot. It was the day that I broke my hand, and that was the following Monday, right after I woke up from surgery on my hand.
Right. I thought, is that the look you make when they pull your trousers down and say, look at your snake?
It's something
they swapped his dick and his thumb around.